Welcome. This is an actual play of a role-playing game. All the participants are adults. The content is intended for adult viewers. We strive to keep the content PG to PG-13, but it is a horror story and may contain horror themes. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy. Well, howdy, friends and floorheads. Happy Sunday. It is time for some Trail of Cthulhu. As always, for this game, I am in the lower right-hand corner. I don't have the keeper under my name. That is our good friend, Brian. So, Brian, let's go.
All right, let's get ready for some Halloween creepiness. So last time our travelers were in Savannah, Georgia. They visited the home of one of the survivors of the strange attack that had apparently happened in August of 1924. He sent them to his home, where they did a little bit of digging around, talked with his mother, who was a nice old lady, and found a box containing several odd artifacts, including a hand-drawn journal full of horrific imagery, and some big stone slab with a mystical symbol on it, and a key to a safe deposit box in Long Beach, California. And they decided to head back to their hotel for the evening, at which point they were intercepted by a bunch of thugs in a car. It started out as just sort of a sort of intimidation thing. Guns were drawn, cars were driven over people. It was all kind of a mess. No one was too seriously injured on the good guys' side. The bad guys all wound up pretty dead. So now we are waking up on the morning of Wednesday, June 26th, 1935. It is a rough morning. You're all in a hotel different than the one you had arranged rooms in the previous day. All you've got are the same clothes you were wearing last night, which are various degrees of blood-stained or dirty or just plain wrinkled. You've done your best to tidy up in your respective, bathroom sinks and that sort of thing, although there's only so much you can do. James in particular does not look like he got much sleep at all. Also, just to let people know, Mac is having some intermittent internet issues. She usually is able to rejoin pretty quickly, so hopefully it won't be too disruptive. And then, of course, you have your car, or your rental car, I should say, which is badly dented in the front and in the back and with bloodstains and a bullet hole in it. So that's a thing. But you're all awake. You're pretty much intact. Where are you going now? What is the plan?
I'm going to be the first downstairs.
Okay.
You're going to see me neatly dressed, kind of real quiet. So I'm not sure who's going to be the next one down there. But I'm there first. Have a newspaper under my arm, but not reading it. Standing with my luggage.
Well, your luggage is back in the other hotel.
Standing without my luggage.
Right. And you're just as well you can. It's still a little bit wrinkled because you basically had to wash it all out in the sink and hang it in the shower. But
yeah, I'm wondering if I can get up early enough to go retrieve everybody's luggage. Is that doable?
You certainly aren't sleeping, so that seems like a reasonable thing.
Yeah, so maybe if it's okay with you, Brian, maybe people will see me down in the lobby with everybody's luggage.
Sure, that seems reasonable. You swung back over to the Hotel de Soda. You got a little bit of stink eye from the hotel clerk, but I mean, it's you. You rented the rooms, so you're able to recover everything and bring it all back here. So, anyone have things they want to discuss or accomplish here, or should we just move on to returning the car and/or going to the airport?
I think Alice would be down quite early as well, and she'll see James and all the luggage. Or, well, she'll see. Wouldn't you have left the luggage in the car?
No, I don't think I want anything to do with the car.
Okay.
I think I took a cab there and a cab back.
Okay.
Okay, then she'll see James with all the luggage and say, "Well, you're up early. That's the first thing I was going to say, that we were needed to pick up our gear. You seen any of the others?"
No, you're the first.
Okay. Well, otherwise I'll go up and check and see if they're up, and let's just get out of here. And I'll go upstairs and knock on Adrian and Sal's doors. Just a quick wrap.
Adrian will answer.
So, you ready to get out of here? James has picked up our gear.
How is James looking? Did you notice?
A bit wrinkled. I think
It takes a second to consider if you meant actually wrinkled, like a piece of paper that's just been
Yes, he's
crumpled up.
aged overnight.
Yeah, he's like 50 years older now. Fair enough. And then just starts getting ready to, goes downstairs.
Sal,
Sal?
you joining us?
Yep. I'm on my way out to try to
Good.
clean up a bit.
Yeah, you've still got you're a bit bandaged, as I recall. You had some
Yes.
injuries last night, but it was well tended, so nothing too noticeable. Yes, you all make your way down to the lobby area. Just for reference, if you're planning to just leave the car, where did you park it, or did you move it this morning, James? Or?
I haven't touched the car, so I think it
Okay.
would come down to wherever Alice parked it. It's still it is still there as far as I
remember. Sal was driving on the way back.
Or Sal,
that was-
wherever
Yeah.
Sal parked it.
So would you have just done it in front of or behind the hotel, or?
He would have done it behind the hotel,
Okay.
where it wouldn't be visible from the main roads.
Okay.
Just, in case somebody was looking for it.
No, that seems entirely reasonable.
I think Alice would, when everybody's down there, just head out towards the car to see, are we taking the car? Does it look too bad that we can't just drive it to the airport?
I mean, it certainly drives okay. It was fine last night. I mean, it is pretty obvious from looking at it that both the front and the back, fenders or bumpers are pretty badly dented. There is blood on both ends of the car, and a good-sized bullet hole, right in front of the right passenger side, front wheel. I mean, so physically you could drive it, but it would probably attract some attention.
That'll buff right out.
Well, then, is there I'll look at Sal and James and either we take the car, it's still quite early, or we get a cab. I don't know what's probably going to be quicker, but
I'm not getting in that car.
okay.
Cabin is then.
All right, fair enough. So you call a cab. It takes a few minutes to get there. You have the hotel call a cab. It's a little cramped on the ride to the airport with 4 of you and luggage. Some of it's up on the roof and the trunk. But, the driver apparently hasn't had that much coffee yet. He's not much of a conversationalist. But he gets you to the airport without much difficulty. And as you get there, you can see Frank sort of finishing up. He's got some kind of pre-flight checklist on a clipboard that he's going through, but it looks like the plane is, fueled up and ready to go.
Okay. And I think I while the rest gets onto the plane, I'll use the phone there to call Albert Ross, I think the rental car agency, just to tell him like, thanks so much for the rental of the car. It's parked behind, and then I'll tell him the address.
Yeah, it was a Savannah Beach hotel.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, usually what happens is you bring the car back.
Yeah, I understand. Usually we do, but we had a bit of a fender bender last night. We hit a deer, so we managed to get it back to the hotel, but we weren't quite sure whether it would drive. So it is a bit damaged, but please be assured you can send the invoice for the repairs to what's her name again?
Janet Winston.
Yeah, to
Rogers.
Janet Rogers. So we didn't have time to drop it off, but I didn't want to, I wanted to make sure that you knew where it is and where you can send the invoice for the repairs.
And you can't see him obviously, but it certainly sounds like he's making that face. Says, well, so you're leaving town?
Yes, we got called away quite urgently. So.
Well, I hope this Winston Rogers person ponies up, because otherwise I'm gonna have to do a little bit of reclamations work. But
don't worry about that. Janet's good for her money. So.
Well, I do hope you're right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Okay. Thanks again, and our apologies for the inconvenience. And she'll hang up and walk towards the airport, and trying to remember on whose name the rental was, because it wasn't on hers.
I think it might have been James.
Sure.
Okay.
So.
That's fine. He can sue him. James doesn't have any money. But yeah, Frank, comes up, sort of looks you over and can see that you're a little bit worse for wear at the moment, but, doesn't say anything. Helps you load the luggage onto the plane and says he's ready to go when you are.
Well, to Long Beach, California.
All right. So yeah, you get packed up and take off in short order. Basically, it's going to be a two-leg thing. He's going to fly to Dallas as a good refueling point, about halfway, and that's going to take you probably till lunchtime, and then another 6.5 hours to LA. Long Beach itself doesn't have an airport, but it's all in the greater Los Angeles area. So while you're making that journey, everybody is going to do a little bit of character advancement since you have finished a chapter here. So just to quickly keep everybody in the audience posted on what happens. Everybody gets one ability point to add to any of your investigative or general abilities. You can't increase Cthulhu Mythos credit rating or sanity this way. You can also, if you want, move a point from one ability score to another, still not any of those three. Just that, maybe you're focusing more on one particular type of skill and, focusing, letting some of your other interests lapse. So if anybody has any particular ideas or questions or is doing anything particularly exciting with those skill points, let me know.
Let's see here. So I can add 1 point to investigative, huh?
Mm-hmm. Or general.
Or general. I'd like to add no, I'm good there. I'm going to add a point to intimidation if I could.
Sure. If you go to the edit tab, character.
Yep. Got it.
You should just be able to plus it up there.
Got it.
Okay. I seem to recall Alice was improving her piloting after some exciting car maneuvers.
Yeah, I'll add another point to driving, and I'm moving 1 point from preparedness to piloting. Okay. So, chatting with Frank and
Yeah, he's always happy to help out. Sal, what you thinking?
Since he used weapon last time, I think he's gonna up weapons.
Okay, sounds reasonable. And then, Adrian, any thoughts on what you might want to add?
Let's see. I think maybe because most he's done is sort of help like interrogating, getting answers. I think maybe either assess honesty. Yeah, maybe assess honesty. Maybe where he's
Okay.
going.
Seems entirely reasonable. Very good. Also, because you're going to have basically a day of rest during this flight, you can all refresh all your general and investigative ability pools back to their maximum. And then, if anybody is still injured, which I don't think anyone is.
Now, will that reset my stability as well, Brian?
No, I'm afraid it won't.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, regaining stability would either spending some time with someone with psychoanalysis who's willing to spend some points. Although I will say that given James' earlier predilection, this being on a plane may not be the best time to try and calm him down. The other thing you can do is if you can spend time with one of your sources of stability, you might be able to get a little bit back.
Let's see here. What were my sources of stability?
I have a spreadsheet with that somewhere.
You're just watching James is just like white knuckle gripping onto his arm, just like just whenever we land, bud. Whenever we land, I'll help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps the stopover in Dallas, would that be enough time? Or
yeah, it's probably going to be half an hour or so to get the refueling and stuff done, and he's willing to wait a little bit long if you want to grab lunch and eat it in some place that's not a tiny little airplane seat. So you could take some time there if you want.
perhaps because Alice hasn't ever been to California before, but she'll look at Sal and the others like, have any of you been there before? Maybe we'll call ahead and get a hotel and a car lined up for when we arrive.
Nope, can't say that I have. My uncle Vinny has. Well, he started to. Haven't told you about my uncle Vinny? Great man, wonderful man.
Okay.
Anyway, he was killed in a plane crash. Just like that. Horrible.
You see
Oh,
James pull out one of his pulp magazines and start flipping through it.
Well, did Uncle Vinny ever give you a recommendation for a hotel nearby the airport?
He was kind of busy screaming for his life.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, you're the worst, but also hilarious. Yeah, so basically, James, I'm gonna let you get a point back as you try and concentrate on your magazine and think of focus on the shadow rather than the impending doom.
Got it.
And then if you want to take some time at the airport in Dallas while everything's getting refueled and reset, basically that would involve someone with psychoanalysis, e.g. Adrian, basically has to make a difficulty 4 psychoanalysis, or sorry, difficulty 3 for you because you're especially good at this. And then for every, if you succeed at the check, you can, for every point of psychoanalysis pool you spend, the recipient gains 2 stability points back.
I will spend. I'll spend 3 points.
Okay.
I have 10. They're not really going anywhere.
Right, exactly. Not yet, anyway. Do you have?
Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it'll be fine. Can you just go ahead and make the psychoanalysis roll though, to make sure he's in a fit state to accept your therapy? So it's difficulty 3, and again, you can spend points on the roll as well if you want. Aha.
There
Okay,
we go.
no problem. So you're spending 3, you said, so that would give James another 6 points of stability back.
All right, I am up to 8.
Yeah, the fighting and the horrible dreams and everything don't seem as close in the sort of bright light of day. And while Adrian is young, they're very good at what they do. So you do feel somewhat better.
Yeah, and I think maybe if you're okay with it, Adrian, the focus of what really kind of brings me back to 2 feet on the ground again is I'd like for you to assure me we are going to see this to completion, that whatever this is, whatever is happening needs to stop because it's dangerous. And for some reason, having you assure me that we're going to see this to the end allows me to kind of get back into reality for a little bit.
I think Adrian would say, well, seeing as we all agreed to the next morning after we got shot up by unknown people speaking an unknown language to go to a barn where apparently there was some strange creature with hundreds of mouths. I don't imagine any of us are thinking of backing out anytime soon.
I agree. This isn't what we signed up for, but I feel better knowing the 3 of you are with me.
We're going to see this through. Don't you worry.
All right. And that does kind of you can sort of see James's shoulders relax a little bit for the first time in probably a day. Anything else anybody wants to do in the scenic Dallas love field, which is not much right now? All right, then we will move on. The flight out to LA is a little bit longer. Coming in, you get the very scenic view coming in. There's the big Hollywoodland sign over on the hills, and the city is growing ridiculously fast at this point. Frank lands you at Los Angeles Municipal Airport, which will one day be LAX. But right now it's just a couple of airstrips. It's certainly more of an airport than you had in Savannah. But you are, you land without difficulty. It feels smoother than last time, or maybe James is just getting used to it. He doesn't let out much of a whimper when the tires touch ground. And then, congratulations, you're in Los Angeles. I've got an area map that should be available to you now, in case you want to get an idea of what's going on. You're basically, if you look on that map, there's a section labeled Venice along the coast, and that's pretty close to where the airport is. And then where you're ultimately trying to get is Long Beach, which is kind of in the bottom right corner of that map. LA is a big, sprawling city. It's very wide. There are, obviously, there are a lot of cars here. You can certainly rent a car right at the airport. There are also streetcars running through town, both locally and sort of intercity over long stretches if you want to do that. The one thing that strikes you as a little unusual is that while it's obviously a big and growing city, downtown is relatively short by current standards, because there are apparently some earthquake regulations, and you can only build up to 150 feet tall. So there's maybe 12, 14 story buildings, and that's about it. City Hall is an exception. It's like 20. There's like one big building sticking out in the middle. But yeah, it's a very eclectic city. There are a lot of Asian immigrants, a lot of Hispanic people are living here, and people from all over America. So it's a pretty eclectic spot. Frank says, he'll deal with a hangar rental. There is a hotel near the airport that you can kind of see from where you've landed. He said, I'll just get a room over there. Unless you need me for anything, I'll just be there. So let me know if I can be of any assistance.
Frank, have you been in this area before?
Not really. This is as far west as I've. Well, I was in Seattle for a few days, but no, I haven't been in LA before.
All right. Well, if you see any libraries or language resource centers, let me know. I need something translated.
Sure. I mean, I'm probably not going to do a lot of sightseeing, but I'll let you know. So if you want to, I guess, leave a message at my hotel once you know where you're settled in, I'll contact you if I find anything.
Will do. Thank you, Frank.
Sure.
Hey, Frank, while you're
Yep.
here, you might as well get some sun. You're looking a little pasty.
Well, if it's like this, it's going to be hard to avoid getting any sun, but I'll give it a shot.
So, I'd say it's evening probably by now.
Yeah, it's probably around dinner time by the time you get settled in.
So do we head towards Long Beach already, or have dinner here and stay here for the evening? I think we might.
I
I mean, Long Beach is with the traffic and everything probably about an hour away.
Mhm.
So I mean,
I say let's stay here for the night.
yeah, the bank's unlikely to be open at those hours unless you want to break in, which I mean, sure.
Okay.
PCs can do whatever you want. I mean, I'm not here to tell you no.
We might as well get a hotel here, have some dinner, and perhaps at the hotel they'll have some maps or a phone book or something. We might want to head over to UCLA, hit the public records once we've found out whatever's in that safety deposit box.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's check into the. Might as well check into the same hotel as Frank.
Okay. Yeah, that'll make
And
things
ask them
convenient.
to. Do we? And she'll look at Sal and James. Do we want to rent a car again or just use taxis?
I'm fine
Well,
either way.
I kind of like having the wheels available in case things
Yeah.
get sticky. I don't want to be flagging down a yellow cab truck, when somebody's shooting at me. Just saying.
We can ask the hotel concierge to arrange for a car for tomorrow, and
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, you head over to the hotel by the airport, which is a little place called the Hotel Roosevelt. It's nice. It's not luxurious, but it's it's clean and well put together. Um, they check you in without incident. He will be happy to arrange for a car to to be delivered here in the morning. And there is a restaurant at the hotel, so if you want, you can just have dinner here. And unless any of you have anything particular you want to do in the evening, we can just skip ahead to the next day.
I think Alice would want to check on the map where UCLA is
Mm-hmm.
in case she has to go there, and I don't know, where would they keep police records or something like that, or where you could look at newspapers and probably at UCLA. Would UCLA library also have that type of records of the?
They would have, they would have copies of recent papers.
Yeah.
For older stuff, you probably want to look at the newspaper offices. I mean,
Okay.
the LA Times is the big paper in
Yeah.
the area. There's also, I mean, like the LA Central Library probably has pretty good archive and that sort of thing. As far as police go, you'd probably want to head to their headquarters, which is in downtown LA. UCLA that is not the map I have marked things on, but it's sort of on the west side of town near the. Here, let me pull up my map so I can see what I'm saying. Yeah, if you look on that map and you see the where it says Beverly Hills, UCLA is just a little bit south of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got a bunch of options, and then, like I say, Long Beach is down at the south end of town.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you may want to do that as a trip unto itself, and then do more of the local stuff separately, or you can split up, whatever you guys want.
No, that's fine. She'll just tick it on the map and have it ready for breakfast.
Okay, sounds good.
When Sal gets to his room, he's going to break down his 38, clean it,
Okay.
and sharpen his dagger.
Okay. Old school. I like it. All right. James or Adrian, anything you particularly want to do this evening? You would normally go to the post office to do that. I mean, if you want, they will certainly, take the notes, take the, you can write it down and they will deliver it there for you if you want.
Okay. Adrian will ask if they could do that for him, and we'll write a note back to Miss Janet
Mm-hmm.
asking if her father had any notable colleagues in pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Just given the time zone and everything, you probably won't get a reply till the morning, but
Oh, that's fine.
but you send that off.
Hmm.
Okay. And with that, everyone can go to their rooms. It is a blissfully uninterrupted sleep. There are
that's
no
good.
horrific nightmares. This is fine. Everything is fine.
Does James insist on someone else keeping the box this night, or does he make sure it stays with him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, if this is going to happen to anybody, it's going to happen to me.
Okay.
Understood.
Well, good news is it didn't happen tonight. So come the morning, everybody seems a little bit better for the rest and the time. And what is your first destination? Oh, you would get a telegram reply probably around the time you're finishing up breakfast. It's delivered to the hotel. And it basically said, my father spent his career in pharmaceuticals. He has many associates, specifics ? And then there's like in the telegram it'd be like, stop. Also, $150 auto repairs in Savannah ? Bullet hole ?
I think Alice will, if Adrian is sharing that, Alice will say, well, when you send the return, just say, others seem interested as well.
Oh, okay. Good to know. All right, so what is the plan for the morning?
So Alice will look at the others and say, well, do we all head over to Long Beach? I can imagine the safety deposit box is our first destination, and then perhaps that'll give us some more concrete leads, because I think that we might want to look into wherever, what went down in 1924 went down, see whether we can find some more information on the players of that time. But we could
Brian?
split up.
No, I immediately James comes and says, no, we're staying together.
That's fine.
Brian, do we have the address of that barn?
No, you do not.
Also, sorry, I cut out there. And sorry, I know I've been cutting in and out, but whenever Adrian writes back at some point, he's gonna be a bit petty about it. He's like, you kind of neglected to tell us that there was a chance, a possibility of your father being involved with people who would shoot at us. So
I mean, that's
perhaps there's a
that's
bit
a
of
fair
misinformation on both
observation.
sides.
Okay. All right.
Just a bit petty to an old friend.
Don't give me that shit about the car repairs. You knew what you were signing us up for. All right. So it sounds like you guys are getting in the car and heading down to Long Beach.
Yep.
All right. Is the box staying at the hotel in James's room?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So you make your way down. It's
Before we go,
Mhm.
I think there was a key that we specifically knew was for somewhere in Long Beach.
Yes. So
Adrian will
I'm
ask if they
assuming
can
you
bring
take
that with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's got a box number on it, so it should in theory be everything you need to track it down. Right, so you make your way down. It's really a beautiful day. You've got the bright blue sky and the big green palm trees and everything. It really, for those of you particularly from like the Northeast and the Midwest, it really is kind of like a different world out here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see why the people with the money tend to move out here. It's very nice.
I can imagine that while Sal's driving and Alice has claimed shotgun again, is that she's, she's opened the window and just, sitting back and just enjoying the ride and looking outside.
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah.
You as you take the route down, you get some glimpses of the Pacific Ocean and people on the beach. Not a lot on a weekday, but still, it gives that sort of paradise kind of feel to it. So it's a nice, refreshing change from the swamps of Savannah. So you make your way down, and like I said, it's about an hour when you make your way to Long Beach, and you were able to get the address at the hotel, of where the bank was. And when you get there, there's a lot of oil derricks down here. There's apparently a lot of oil has been discovered here. You also see a number of buildings are kind of cracked or a little bit askew. You would probably recall hearing that a couple of years ago there was a pretty big earthquake here. Then you can definitely still see signs of that, although most of it has been repaired. And when you get to the address you had for the first bank of Long Beach, you can see some of that quake damage here as well. It's kind of a big traditional bank with the stairs on the front and the big pillared entrances and that sort of thing. But the first thing you notice is that there are a lot of people just kind of sitting and loitering on the front steps. They don't look like bank customers. I mean, this looks almost like a vagrant camp or something like that. And then as you're kind of getting closer, you can see that the doors of the bank are boarded up. So whatever's going on, the bank does not currently appear to be open.
Is there any shops or any other commerce locations that are near the bank?
Yeah, no, it's a downtown area. There's some little general stores and restaurants and bars and shops, the usual.
So I'll turn to you three and go. I'm going to ask what's going on here. And I'll go to the shop right next door.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a little sandwich shop. It looks like they're just opening up for a late breakfast, early lunch crowd.
Pull out 4 Cokes in the glass thick bottles.
Oh yes.
Plop them on the counter. Put on some cash.
Coca-Cola has made it this far west yet. Let's say
okay. If not, it's probably beer. Say bank next door. Old family members got a lockbox there and came here to get access to it, but looks like they're not open.
Yeah, no, they were they shut down. Oh gosh, year or two ago. They went pretty well through the bank runs. After the crash. But then when the earthquake hit, everybody needed money out to fix their homes, and they just couldn't handle it, so they closed up. Gosh, if I'm sure whatever was in there has been taken out. There's this new federal thing, federal something insurance something that I think is like taking over the debts or something. They might have whatever your family had there.
Do you have any? Can you leave you any contact information or an old owner or anything?
Well, they didn't leave me, but I would guess they're probably at the federal building up in LA.
Perfect. Thanks, friend.
Yeah, I wish I could be more help. Good luck with it.
And I share that information with you guys. Looks like the federal building is going to be our best chance.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, federal building.
Well, that's probably close by some other buildings that we might hit up.
Yeah, it's in the middle of downtown. So.
Oh well. Back in the car. Thanks.
It was a lovely scenic drive.
So, thanks for the drink, James.
Indeed.
All right. So you return north. The federal building is prominently marked on the map, so you can certainly get there.
Whereabouts is it?
It is more or less in the middle of downtown. Sorry, I have too many windows open here. Federal building. Oh, actually, it's not far from UCLA. It's just to the right of the Beverly Hills text. On the west side.
That's all the way back.
Yeah, sadly so.
It's like,
That's the
oh,
joy of LA. The good news is there's not nearly as much traffic as there is these days, but it's still some distance and not that fast.
Everything's 30 minutes away.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, so probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock, you guys get up to the LA Federal Building. It's a big Art Deco, like 12-story building. There's a directory in the lobby that lists several dozen federal agencies that are here. And one of them is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation up on the 8th floor, which sounds like what he was referring to. And I'm trying to think, do any of you have accounting or something along those lines?
Sal's got accounting.
Yeah, okay. So you've heard of the FDIC. Basically, after the stock market crash, there were a lot of problems with banks going under. So they built a new federal agency to take care of it. Yeah, and there's a office number on the 8th floor there.
okay, so we all head up there.
Okay, sounds good. It looks like it's kind of one end of the building judging from the layout. There's a door at the end of the hall just labeled FDIC. You open the door and there is a relatively small reception area with a woman behind the desk. She looks slightly surprised to see that someone has shown up, but she there's a little nameplate on her desk that says Helen Grierson, and she kind of looks up and says, good morning, can I help you folks?
If anybody's turning to James to speak, he's
Yep. So,
I've got some family members that left me a bank box. I give the name of the bank.
Okay. First Bank of Long Beach. And see, she kind of opens a file cabinet and rifles through. There's a lot of files in there. And she says, okay, this is Mr. Burlington's file. I'll see if he's available. And she kind of walks down the hall behind there. You hear her knock on the door and a muffled conversation, and he says, yes, he can see you now. If you'd follow me. And she
Certainly
leads you back to a slightly cramped office, particularly with the four of you in here. You see the desk of the nameplate says Marv Burlington. He's probably a 50-ish guy, kind of graying, curly black hair, excellent tan. And he says, good morning, folks. Understand you might have some property or some claim on a property at the First Bank of Long Beach.
absolutely.
All right. Well, have a seat. Tell me more. What can I do for you?
We got this. They left me. My family left me this key.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed us keys.
Yeah, he looks at it and nods.
Says we went to the bank to retrieve whatever it was. Well, lo and behold, it was boarded up.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, everything that was worth anything that wasn't literally nailed to the floor would be at the federal warehouse in Long Beach. I've got the address here somewhere. Yeah, so he kind of digs around in this paperwork for a few minutes, and comes up with an address which he scribbles down on a piece of paper and hands over.
and I as he's sliding it over, I stop, gently putting my hand on his hand and saying, "We've been driving a lot today. Just tell me that the safety deposit boxes are going to be here."
Well, they're going to be there. I mean, I could maybe get it brought here if that's easier for you. I mean, it'll take an hour or two to get it up here, but
No, we'll go. But I would love maybe you should call just to make sure it's going to be there.
Okay. He picks up a phone. He has a desk phone. He must be very important.
He gets a little car sick. It's okay.
he dials a number, and says, "Oh yeah, it's this is Marv from the FDIC. We've got some folks who are coming to reclaim a safe deposit box from First Bank of Long Beach. It's yeah, we just want to make sure it's there, and they'll be able to get it. They've got the key. Okay, he's checking.
Very good.
It is okay. All right, great. They'll be there in I don't know, probably an hour or so, I would guess. All right, thanks, Ray. Yep, they've got it. It's locked. It's intact. So, I mean, whatever's in there should be there. So, anything else I can help you folks with?
I think you've been a great help, Marv.
Well,
Thanks so much.
all right, sure. And he, hands you his card in case you have anything else that you need him with. And that's that. You are shown out, and now you get to get back in the car.
Yeah. I think if we're up here, then Alice will also again say, we all head back down there together again.
If it's alright, I want to try and maybe go to the library here first. Kind of pulls out the sheet of paper that he took of the looked like a Southeast Asian language
The tattoo.
that was tattooed. I want to see if I can get those translated. And if we're by the university, I imagine there's a public library nearby as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you're in downtown LA. There's certainly the public library is not far from here. So are we splitting up?
Adrian asked me if it's okay if they all come with him or if they want to go straight to the bank first.
Sal would rather go to the warehouse.
Okay. He's fine with that. He was just asking.
He gets bored with books sometimes.
I can't imagine.
Oh, couldn't imagine that. Then he's fine to wait. He's ready to go straight to the warehouse if everyone would rather do that first.
Okay. Yep. So you make a trip back down some familiar streets, still very pretty, but getting a little more boring now. And then you arrive at the address you were given, which is a very boring, flat gray, giant warehouse building. Tin roof. There's like one security guard there and a couple people inside just moving stuff around. When you basically show up and say, hi, you got a call from Marv, we've got this key. They're like, oh yeah, we've pulled it. And we'll basically, there's not like an office space in here, but there's kind of like on one edge of the warehouse, there's a work table that he will, bring out and put the box on. He's got, the bank key, the master key, he goes through this roll of ring of like 20 or 30 keys and finally picks out the right one and, opens his half of the lock and then says, I'll give you folks some privacy with this. We'll just be over here if you need me. My name's Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Walks off.
Okay. And then I think we'll all look at James because he's got the key. Would you like to do the honors?
In the lock.
Okay.
You see
It's
Sal
simple.
step back.
Do you check for traps?
Perception check.
Yeah, and it's probably, I don't know, maybe 12 inches by 18 inches by maybe 3 inches high. You open it up, and there are, at first glance, there are two things in there. On the bottom is what looks like a book, maybe a ledger book or something like that. And then above that is the sort of thick brown manila envelope.
So I'll take the envelope. I immediately hand the book to Dr. Adrian.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I give you guys the look like, do I open it?
Sure.
Okay.
May as well.
Yeah. So James, undoes the thread on the clasp of the envelope. And what's inside looks like it's a dozen or so photographs. And James pulls the first one out to look at, and he probably grabs the stack and looks at whatever one happens to be on top. And I'm not going to describe in detail what's on these pictures, but to give you a general idea, James, you've spent some time as a private investigator, so you've done your share of, looking for, people who have a cheating spouse and that sort of thing. And these kind of look like that sort of photograph. They're clearly taken like through a window from in the bushes or something like that. And they're pictures of men and women, up to a dozen in some pictures, engaged in a wide variety of sexual activity in virtually any combination of genders and orifices that you care to imagine, and some that you probably don't. Yeah, obviously, this is a time period where, while pornography exists, it's not nearly as common. So I figure of anyone, James is probably the least rattled by this, but it's striking. I mean, these are functionally pictures of orgies.
Yeah, and without showing the pic, as soon as I realize what these pictures are, so I see the top one and realize that, and kind of fan them a little bit in my hand and realize that all this is more of this.
Yep.
Stuff the pictures back into the envelope, wrap them up, and going, nobody needs to look at these, but they are sexual debauchery. At first, I thought maybe cheating spouses or something like that, but no, this is some sort of sex cult or something.
It's what happened at the barn, you mean?
Isn't that what they described?
I mean, Edgar did say, and actually, yeah, both of them said that there had been a lot of depraved sexual activity.
Then this is pictures of them.
Okay. What's in the ledger?
So the ledger is, as it kind of looks from the outside, it looks like in a book of accounts, all handwritten entries. But it looks like, at least as far as Adrian can see, it looks like it's in some kind of code or cipher. There are like letters where the number column would be, and a lot of what look almost like code words or something, and then description that might be in some kind of cipher. It's hard to tell exactly what it might be. I mean, it's definitely structured like a book of accounts, but you can't make head or tail of it at the moment.
Of course, it couldn't be easy.
No. There is, however, a note tucked inside the front cover of the book in what looks like Henslow's handwriting, that basically it just says black equals Echeverria and town car equals Buckwald. And you recognize black and town car are a couple of the code names that appear in the ledger.
And town car equals?
Equals Buckwald is the name. That should be visible in your journals.
Oh yeah, Buckwald. Yeah, Buckwald. Okay. And black and town car are things that we see coming.
Yeah, you see them periodically in the ledger.
Different handwriting. The translation.
No, the ledger. Oh, well, yeah. The note is in Henslow's handwriting. The journal is all in one handwriting, but it's a different one.
Okay.
And I
like
think
Henslow started to try to figure out what the hell all this garbage is, huh?
And Sal, I think you would recognize, since you've got some accounting background, the fact that this is all written in like different inks at different times. This suggests that this isn't like the copies of a ledger. This is the actual working book where something was being tracked.
Gotcha. I'll point that out.
Okay.
What sort of dollar figures are we talking here? Like,
I mean, it's hard to say, since again the numbers are encoded as letters.
okay.
But in general, you'd say it's single and double digit transactions mostly. You see a couple 3-digit transactions.
Does Buchwald, is that a place or a name that seems familiar for Los Angeles?
I mean, it sounds, German
Yeah.
to you, but as far as, I mean, it doesn't ring any particular bells at the moment. It's not a name you've come across before.
Well, Echevarria was the cult
Leader.
the cult leader.
Mhm.
So, but perhaps we grab some lunch and then head back up downtown. I think, this. I think this probably needs some time to study, and in the meantime, well, perhaps we hit up the library or the newspapers and see if we can't, find out wherever what happened in 24 went down. I mean, if the place, if there was such a huge fire, there must have been something in the papers. So we should be able to find some more information there. And well, I don't know. I'm not much good at accounting, so that's probably not going to be my forte.
Yeah,
but
you're
how are
thinking
you-
that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, how are you at code breaking?
Not that good either.
Dr. Fisher, do you think if you had enough time with this book, would you be able to sort out this cipher?
Cryptography isn't exactly my bailiwick, but I could give it a shot.
Sal, your people writing codes a lot. You have any? Do you think you could take a crack at this?
Be happy to look at it.
Okay. So yeah, basically Ray will ask if you're done with the box, if there's anything still in it, does he need to keep it, but if you're done, he'll take it back and put it on a pile somewhere of stuff to get recycled. You can find a nice little cafe outside, not far from here. There's it's kind of the little farmer's market thing. There's a lot of people selling, fresh oranges and limes and that sort of thing. And, it's again, a pleasant afternoon.
Alice will look at James and say, perhaps you could check the photos if there's, any details other than the people that might, if there's anything there, or I don't know, faces.
Yeah, I'm going to want to do that back.
Yeah,
at the room.
not here, not here.
And just spread them out on the table, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
But yeah, I'll be in charge of that.
Okay. Sounds good. Lunch is tasty. Nothing too exciting there. Sal, you're kind of taking a look at the ledger, over lunch, and honestly, this is. I mean, you've done some basic code stuff,
Yeah.
but it's more like the cryptogram and the Sunday puzzle.
Yeah.
This is definitely
Yeah.
sort of a different level of stuff, and you'd probably need someone with some training to look at it, which sadly none of you have. So, am I hearing back north after lunch to the library UCLA area?
More driving, baby.
Yep.
Hooray! All right, what's the first stop?
Well, while we're driving, so do we perhaps split up? I think we need to hit the newspapers. If we can hit the library, and then Alice will look at James and say, police records, would they be accessible, or does it make sense to stop in and ask some questions there?
All I ask is we go in pairs if we're going to split up. I don't think any of us, even myself being alone, is smart. I'm happy to go to the station, see if we can't dig up anything on some of these names and dates.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody wants to come with.
Well, perhaps if we go to the newspaper first, see if we can get some more information there, and then head over to the station. And the two of us do that, and perhaps Sal and Adrian, if you check in the library, see, perhaps you can't. Perhaps you can find not just a linguist, but a cryptologist or
Mm-hmm.
somebody at UCLA to help with the ledger.
Okay. Hey, Brian.
And no, yeah.
While we're traveling back from
Mhm.
the warehouse to downtown, Sal's going to be looking at the mirrors to see if we pick up a tail.
Okay. All right. Why don't you give me where's my list of skills? Well, actually, you have sense. You all have sense trouble. Yeah. So with that much of it in the group, yeah, you're checking the windows. You don't see any sign that anyone is taking an interest in you.
Okay.
All right. So you make your way back up to the LA Central Library, which is a pretty big building, a little older in design, but not surprisingly crammed with books. Are we splitting up here? Are we dropping people off? And then moving up? All right. So who's hitting the library?
So
All right. So Sal and
he
Naomi?
volunteered to go to the library.
All right. Sal and Alice.
In fact, he says to James, he says, "If you see my picture in the wall there, it's a joke."
I actually probably the closest crack of a smile you've seen from James. I got a kick out of that.
Nice.
So that would be then Matt, then Dr. Fisher and I going to the police. No, going. Wait, we got the
No,
library,
Alice?
and then go ahead.
I think head over to wherever the archives are for the newspapers, so LA Times, and then to the police station. So Alice.
Although to be fair, the newspaper morgue here at the library is probably pretty comprehensive.
Oh, okay.
Oh well, might just start there.
Okay.
Although, and then because Alice isn't really somebody who goes to the library that often, so she's going to think about. Do you think somebody at the papers would remember whatever happened in 24?
That's a bit ago.
Yeah, that's a bit long. Well, we may as well all try the library first and then see what we can find and then head off to the police station.
Okay. By the way, as a horror GM, Naomi, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your constant efforts to split the party.
I will succeed at some point.
Someday. Oh, yes. Right. So at the library, what are we looking for? I know Adrian wanted to find out about that language diagram. Somebody was looking at newspaper archives. What do we got? Who wants to go first?
I think Adrian will specifically be trying to find someone who maybe can tell him what language it is, because he doesn't know what the message is and is a bit concerned of asking for a direct translation from someone. So she's like, you know what languages might be and where I can find books to translate.
Yeah, I would say there's certainly an area in the travel and language section. There are. This is one of those libraries where you've got a lot of helpful people who like to help answer questions, and you actually encounter an Asian man, probably in his 50s or something, who is behind a reference desk in that section. And he takes a look at that paper and he says, "I believe that is Thai, the language of Siam." Yes.
And do you know if there are any books where I could reference this, translate this myself around here?
I mean, we certainly have some books on the language, although since Thai and most Asian languages are not alphabetized in the way that is familiar, it's not an easy matter to just look things up. Let's see. If you wanted to find it, you might have better luck in the East Asian Language Department at UCLA. I'm sure they have someone who speaks it at least somewhat and could help you with that. If it was Japanese, I could help you myself, but I'm afraid I don't know Thai other than to recognize it.
Well, no worries, sir. Thank you for your help.
Of course.
And I'll jump in right as that wraps up and say, UCLA have a cryptography department, do you know? Anybody who studies codes, code breaking?
I imagine they do. I'm not sure what department it would be. Maybe mathematics?
Yeah.
Could be, yes. That's probably a good place to start anyway. I imagine they can tell you.
Alice will try and find somebody helpful and say, like, I'm doing some research for a friend on an incident that happened in 24, a big fire. And I was wondering if you could perhaps help me, or know somebody who could help me to go through the newspapers.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I
haven't really done anything like this before. So,
I mean, I can certainly get you to the right area. Do you know when in 1924 it happened?
do we know when?
I think you
about?
know it was sometime in August. I don't think you have
Yeah,
a date.
I think it was around, end of summertime, August. It was a fairly large fire in a barn, or a semi-rural area.
I mean, it doesn't ring a bell, but that's not uncommon, sadly. I mean, I can certainly get you to the right area of the archives. I might be able to help with some of the research, although I do need to be available if other people come by.
No, of course, I understand. It would be very helpful if you could, at least show me how this works and that type of thing. So I've never really been to a library this big, and
you get a little sort of a prideful smile and says, "Well, we do have a lot of resources here." So I guess if it's 1924, you would probably be looking at the LA Times, unless, I mean, there are a few local papers, but without knowing specifically where this happened, I think we just start with the Times. And he can basically, and he will basically take you and show you, here's where you find, most of the local news stuff. This area has like society pages, there are obituaries and stuff here. If anyone died, you might be able to find some references to it here. We don't have, well, let me see something. A quick Wikipedia check. Let's see. Okay, yes. This is a pretty big library, so they would probably have them all on microfilm. So it's not like you're going through the physical papers. So, he takes a few minutes to show you how to use the reader, and where to put the cards in.
And Alice is being very impressed and very gracious, and like, oh wow, oh geez, this is how long have you had that? Because she's going to try and maximize his help.
I see. I see. So I could see that as being something you could maybe do with
Flattery?
a point of flattery would work. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So see if he can't, get me the in to find and then probably with the in I'd be able to know, well, okay, now I need to look at obituaries and that type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll definitely show you where the stuff is, and if you have any other details, any names or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I actually do. Do. If you perhaps and then she'll mention Echevarria. She will also mention. Let me see. Who else? What was an F.C. Coleman, perhaps?
All right, he jots down those names.
Yeah, F.C. Coleman, and there's, if you see any for Edgar Job.
Okay. All right.
And George Avery or Ayres. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Well, that should give us enough to start on. He will basically pull up to the viewer next to you, and it looks like between your "oh poor helpless me" act and his own sort of curiosity, I think it looks like he's going to sit down and help you with the search, so that'll speed things up. So while Alice is in the archives, anybody else have anything they want to do?
Sal's going to look at the cryptology or cryptography section if it exists. At least start with the mathematics.
I mean, yeah, they've got the Dewey Decimal System, so you know where they would be. And there are certainly some books on famous codes and ciphers through history, and cryptography for public and private use. These are thick, dense books, so I mean, it's probably not something you're gonna pick up right away, but you can certainly start digging through it and maybe see if you find something that looks familiar to what's going on.
He's looking
there.
for a yellow and black book that says cryptography for dummies.
Yeah, I'm afraid you got another 60 years or so before that one comes out. But.
He'll start with the common codes
Mhm.
and try to identify, look for the most common English sort of like S's and things like that, and try to
Right.
establish, or vowels, and try to establish, okay, is this a shift cipher or a Syrian cipher?
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. Sounds good. Adrian, what do you got going on?
If we were staying in the library before going to the specific departments, I think I will probably try to help Sal with any level of researching, since Adrian's pretty used to being in the library trying to find references.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes sense. And then James, what are you doing during all this?
I might. Let's see. So this is. I don't know how much help I'm here.
Okay.
Through all this research, so I'm probably sticking with Dr. Fisher. I think that Sal and Alice kind of have their things covered. So yeah, I think I'm just going to shadow.
Okay.
This isn't my thing. If we were going to go through garbage cans, looking for trash or on a crime scene, I'd be helpful. But I don't know how helpful I am with all.
Yeah, this is not really your environment.
No, there's not enough pulp magazines here.
Right, exactly.
Adrian actually kind of goes off on his own bit, because I'm curious about one thing. He doesn't know if it's going to get anything, but he recalls whenever there was like that little bookshelf, whenever we first met Miss Janet, there are some obvious choices missing. Does he find any? Does he find any of those here in this library?
I would say, yeah, there is sort of like a occult and supernatural subsection of the religion section, and yeah, you see some of those books. I mean, again, there's nothing, it's not like they have a copy of the Necronomicon sitting on the shelf or anything like that. But there are some more, let's say, esoteric books that are here that you might have thought would have been in Winston's collection.
Just gonna be kind of taking a look around that section for a bit.
Okay, sounds good.
They keep the Necronomicon in the back.
Right, exactly.
Special
18 plus. Yeah, exactly.
The restricted section of the library.
Limited edition flesh cover.
Dang, this is a good library.
Yeah, no, they got it all. But yeah, so let's run through. So it probably takes an hour or two for you to all do your respective stuff. Alice, the guy you're with eventually spots an obituary in Echeveria's name, which I will share unto you now. From August 15th of 1924, which gives you a date range to focus on. And you also, there is like a small article in the same paper, actually, talking about fire and gunplay in a what is the name of that neighborhood?
Compton.
No, a little early for that. In Reseda, which sounds like it's a farm area up on the north side of town. There's not an address there, but it's basically saying that neighbors reported gunfire and screaming, and by the time police arrived, a barn building was engulfed in flames. Police are still investigating and have no theories at this time.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thanks so much. I think this will definitely help in my research.
Well, I'm glad we were able to find something. Is this you're writing a book, or?
Well, I'm actually I'm looking into the disappearance of somebody for a friend. Yeah, so it's a bit complicated, but this is really helpful. And perhaps well, I've never written a book. Who knows what it might turn out?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah. So Reseda, right? Are there any local newspapers here that you'd have records for?
Back then, it was pretty much all farm country. I don't think they even had a paper up there.
Yeah.
Closest bit might be something in I don't know, Van Nuys maybe.
Okay, Van Nuys. Okay, that would probably also be the police station.
That I think would have been under the sheriff's department.
Yeah, sheriff's
time. It was not, what do you call it?
Incorporated.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh well.
Yeah.
Should make notes.
And while he's talking about it, he's kind of skimming through paper over the next couple days to see if there's any follow-up articles on that, and there doesn't seem to be any.
Okay. Yeah. So the sheriff's department, they might have some stuff on that in the 50-note Reseda. Okay, and Echevaria's obituary. No other names around that period of time?
I mean, there are a number of obituaries there, but none of them seem to tie into this. None of the ones that you recognize.
Okay, so brilliant. Thanks so much for your time.
Well, sure, glad to help. It's what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I need to get back to the desk. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
And he scurries off.
And then I think Alice is going to try and scroll through it, scroll through the obituaries and look at other papers as well. Just not so much half-heartedly, but she'll try her best to see if she can find anything else. But if she doesn't find anything quite quickly, do you make prints of the microfiche, or she'll just copy it down, the information, and
I don't know that they have an easy way to do a print from that.
Okay, then she'll just spend the rest of her time just copying everything down on a notepad before she wanders off to find the others.
And then Sal, looking at this, looking through this text, and it's not his area of expertise, but he's a relatively smart guy, so he kind of picks up the basics and starts doing, like you're saying, kind of a letter frequency count, since that seems like a first point. And the letter distribution doesn't look like it lines up, so it doesn't sound like it's a simple substitution cipher.
Yeah.
So you'd probably need to find somebody who does this on a regular basis to pick it up. Let's see, Adrian, I'm sorry, what did you have going on? I'm bad at keeping multiple things in my memory. Adrian, all right, Adrian's wandered off. Let me see, I don't think there was anything else.
No, I think Adrian was checking for books.
Oh, right, she was looking at the occult. Yeah, okay, she was looking at that's what it was. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so so you're able to to pick out and look through, and it looks like it's most of the books you're finding there, Adrian, are the ones that again, a lot of talk about different religious cults and weird behavior, a lot of them in quote unquote primitive cultures. But it looks like, do you have any occult knowledge, Adrian?
I don't believe I do. I was more going off my library use.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're certainly the pin in the books.
Oh, sorry. Does he see anything occult based on Thai folklore?
Not really. Yeah, it doesn't seem to come up particularly. I mean, there are a couple of references to, legends and rituals along this pattern are found across Southeast Asia, kind of thing, but nothing that seems to particularly refer to Siam as Thailand was known at that time.
All right.
So, I mean, interesting stuff. Nothing that strikes you as immediately relevant here.
All right. Then he'll go back to just kind of floating around, seeing if anybody else needs help.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody has probably done about as much as they can here. So I figure you guys regroup.
Alice will turn to James and say, well, I think I found at least the area where the fire was and the date. 15 August 24 in Reseda. So that's up north of here. The librarian suggests that probably the sheriff's office would have been responsible for looking into that. So I don't know, James, whether downtown here they might have police records, or we'd have to head up north to check.
My guess is it's going to be localized. We should head up. We're going to want to head up there anyway. See where this took place, both literally where it took place and what's around it. But I can talk to the sheriff's department there.
Okay. Would they share that information with us?
One way to find out.
Oh, yeah.
Adrian kind of leans in very, very closely to Alice so that nobody else that's not in this group can hear it. If I recall correctly, one of the people we interviewed said that there were a few police involved in this, it seemed, or there was connections with police.
I mean, the LAPD is a notoriously corrupt organization. James certainly knows that.
Well, I mean, we gotta look, and who knows what will fall out of the tree when we shake it up. So, that's
Sal looks to James and says, well, I have found that I absolutely hate math. It's just not my thing.
No, I do.
Did you manage?
Go ahead.
No, Alice will ask Adrian. Did you manage to find out what language the note was in?
Someone told me that it was language of Siam, and it would be easier to find someone who is in the language department to translate it. It's not a phonetic alphabet like ours is.
Right. Okay. So.
All right. So where to next?
Well,
I'd
did we
like to
get
go to
the
the
note
math department.
translated? Yeah.
All right, yeah, you're pretty close to UCLA now.
Yeah.
So it's,
And perhaps, because we can try and check the records at UCLA for students, because didn't that Edgar Job, he was a
good
student
call.
here.
Yep.
And
He was specifically a
Yeah.
student of mathematics.
yeah, and he was studying mathematics.
Yes.
Oh wow! Oh well, hey, that's brilliant. And he said he got let's see, George Avery or George Ayres. So if we could somehow access the student records, and as I imagine that we're kind of heading out the library
Sure.
and talking, it's like, I don't know if they give us that information. What would we have to say to get that information?
I really only have influence in getting medical records, so unless they have frequent visits to an infirmary on campus, I don't think I'll be much help there.
So what do we think about maybe Sal and I going to the admissions office? Maybe we can be put on our charming selves and get them to open up the books a little bit for us. Maybe if the two of you could focus on the other items, let's figure out what's going on in this math department if they can help us with this book.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
And then and then the language department too, right? We need
Yep.
to see if we can't get a translation.
And then we're probably, Alice will look up at the sky, so that's probably going to use up the rest of our day. And then
yeah,
we head over-
it's late afternoon by this
Yeah.
point. So
we head up to the sheriff's office in Reseda tomorrow.
That sounds good.
all right.
And do you want to meet up at the library once we're all done with everything today?
Yep. And we'll grab some dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the car's parked. So
Makes sense. All right. I mean, you'll probably want to drive to UCLA. It's not
Oh,
an
okay.
easy walk, but yeah.
Another 30 minutes. So
Ironically, a 10-minute walk, 30-minute drive.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's not a dramatic cliffhanger at this point, but we've been going for about 90 minutes, so I think this might be a good time to take a quick break.
I think it's a great idea.
All right. See you in a
Be
few.
back in a bit. Howdy, folks. We are back. Unfortunately, Max struggled and tried to get her internet up and running, but we lost. But that's all right. Adrian is still with us, and we'll see Mac back on episode 4.
Excellent. Craig has foolishly promised that Adrian will not die while Mac is away. So whatever happens is on his
Don't
head.
make me a liar.
All right. So you folks gather up and
Adrian
head
is
over.
with a registered war nurse, so
Yeah, her odds are good. You're probably fine. Right. So you guys make the short jaunt over to the University of California, Los Angeles. And I think the first stop was at the main administrative building to try and look at some historical records. It's late June, so there's not many students on campus at the moment. Most of the offices are still open, and of course there are people doing various research and stuff over the summer. But it's not as crowded as it might be, certainly. Excuse me. So you make your way up to the sort of the front receptionist, because there are a bunch of departments in the building. Good morning or good afternoon. Can I help you?
Yeah, James Burton, Chicago PD. Out here investigating some potential malfeasance, financial malfeasance, and just need a little bit of background on a couple of your students. And I've asked Alice to write those names down for me, and I just kind of slide the names there. Just need to pull them. Don't need to take them with us. We don't need to confiscate them. Just need to just flip through, grab some addresses and information.
And she says, "Do you?" And she actually asks you, "Isn't this the kind of thing you would normally get a warrant for?"
If I was going to take it with me, yes, but. I guess I didn't anticipate the college being concerned about hiding information from the Chicago PD.
Certainly will look good in the papers.
Why don't you spend me a point in maybe cop talk, maybe bureaucracy, maybe even intimidation?
I think this is probably intimidation.
Okay.
I think that I'm trying to get this person to really just want to get me out of this office and not have to deal with me anymore. So I spent a point in intimidation.
Okay. and with Sal's enthusiastic assistance about how good it'll look in the papers, she says, well, I mean, I'll find what I can. We're only going to be open for another half hour or so, but
If we take 10 minutes, I'll be surprised.
oh, okay. And so she grabs the piece of paper and goes to look up. So what are the names we're checking for?
Edgar Job,
Mm-hmm.
George Avery or heirs,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that Alice would have also put Raymond Echevarria on there as well, just for.
Okay. All right. So she comes back in a few minutes. She does have a file for Edgar Job. There is no listing for Echevarria. And she says, we don't have a file for anyone, Avery or heirs, in this name in the student section, but I did take a look, and there is a professor in the history department by the name of George. Let me make sure I'm getting the actual right name. Now I've heard both of them. Heirs. So, and she can give you his office number.
So as soon as I hear, like, I'm expecting like, retired or deceased or whatever, as soon as I hear office number, I'm going to slide that file towards you, Sal.
Mhm.
And you see me pull out a fresh notebook and a pencil and hand it to you as well. And then I'm going to take the other file, and what I'm going to obviously look everything over, Brian, but try to jot down anything that could be of use. So family members, dates, attendance, birthdays, just anything that could potentially be useful later.
Yeah. So what you, and this is Jobs file you're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, it looks like he enrolled in 1918. He was mostly math courses. There were a couple sort of mandatory things that he had to take in different areas, but math was pretty much what he was doing. His grades were, C's, B's occasionally, nothing impressive. And he apparently, when he graduated, he started a graduate mathematics program here in 1923. And then basically there was a note in September of 1924 that basically says, no contact, dropped out, basically.
Interesting. Now, is there any indication that he attended a class from our esteemed professor?
There is nothing in like history or anthropology or anything like that. So assuming that, heirs, it was still in that department, it doesn't look like there's any crossover there.
Got it.
There is the only other name you even see on there. I mean, there's like names of a couple professors, that he worked with. There is a couple of the notes are from somebody by the name of Assistant Professor Stuart Titchener, who was apparently like his advisor in the graduate program.
Okay. And so right before they close up, I'm going to go back to our friend at the front desk, and it looks like I need to also pull the Titchener file as well. Do you mind grabbing that for me real quick? And then we'll be out of the way.
And she said, again, this isn't a student file, but
Correct.
you can find him in the mathematics department. And she looks up the staff directory and gives you his office number.
Perfect.
As well.
I do appreciate it. Sal, I assume, has copied down what's necessary.
Well, I mean, there wasn't really a file for each
either
of the professor types. Jobs was the only paper file you got. The other one's like, these are professors. You go talk to them.
So once we step outside the hall or the room there, turn to you, Sal, and go, looks like we got two Brainy McBrainersons to visit. Do you think we should stop by and talk to the other two before we go, or
I think it would be wise.
Okay, let's do that. So we'll head back to the library, the meeting place.
And I'd say,
I think you all came over here because it was a drive, and I think you were mostly down at the library. Am I wrong?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, where did we say we were going to meet after we split up at UCLA? I assume.
I think it's probably where the car is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's where.
And I'd say while in between, because would the same person that they asked for the information also be the person that you could ask, like, well, who's the most renowned professor in the department on this
Ooh.
subject? Would that
Yeah,
be
that is
person?
certainly something that you could get.
Okay.
You know, they have a campus
Okay.
directory here.
So I'd say, appearing as if, we're not the same party, just in between, I will have say, given given the lady kind of a commiserating look, and
What a
said,
jerk.
just in between, like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry to bother you, but I'm looking for a professor in cryptology or something, or somebody, any of the professors here who'd have a crack at cryptology,
I
code
don't
breaking.
know if any. We don't have courses in it.
Okay.
Your best bet would probably be to check in at the math department. I think that's more likely where that is.
I thought this was the math department, or
Oh no, my understanding was that you guys just went to like the general registration office.
Oh,
for
okay. Oh, no.
students
Student
on
affairs. type
No,
thing.
math
Oh,
is.
okay. Then I'll head over to the math department. Thanks so much, and
Sure.
head over there and together with Adrian, try and ask the receptionist or whoever's there in charge, like, okay, which professor is who likes code breaking the most? Who's
Yeah,
specialized in code breaking? Is there anybody on campus at the moment who's likes a bit of a challenge in code breaking?
yeah. So the receptionist is literally putting her purse on her shoulder
yeah.
as you
Yeah.
come through the door,
Yeah.
and but she does her best to we're getting ready to close, but I'll be happy to help you. And you ask her about a cryptography person. Gosh, the only one I can think of might be Professor Page.
Professor Page. Okay.
Yeah, and I think he's already left for the day.
Okay.
But I know he's got a fair bit working on, so he should be here in the morning. And she, makes a note of what office number he is.
Okay.
He does a lot of puzzles and things that might be up his alley, or he probably knows someone who would.
Okay. Oh, that's brilliant. And just before you go, what type of professor is he? Is he one of the ones that likes to, share his knowledge, or
Yeah,
tips?
he's a lot more friendly than a lot of the math professors. I don't know
Okay.
how much time you've spent, but a lot of math professors are very focused on the work and not so much
Mathy.
in people skills department.
Yeah. Okay.
But Professor Page is somebody you can talk to, I think.
Okay. Well, thanks so much. Then we'll probably drop by tomorrow and check with Professor Page.
All right,
Thanks.
sounds good.
And then Adrian and Alice will head back to the car and wait. Just kind of sit out in the sun. Perhaps there's a university cafe. Grab something to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty lightly staffed at this point, but that also means there's not much of a wait. So yeah, you can grab.
So just kind of enjoy the afternoon and chat a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And how long, Brian, was this 30 minutes back to the hotel? I'm trying to get a round trip sense here.
Oh yeah, for the hotel, you're probably 15-20 minutes away.
Okay.
This is more or less where you're based.
So we get to the car, happen to see your faces on the window there. At the cafe, come in, bring you up to speed. We've got an assistant professor and a professor who are active, and kind of mark them on your list, right? On the records that you have there. And I think we've lost the day today, but I think Sal and I maybe have a conversation with them. Any luck on the book?
No, but I do have a name for a Professor Page, so we might, head in here tomorrow morning, and do some interviews, and then perhaps head up to Rosanna. I am, wondering where we might find some more information on that Raymond Echevarria, apparently a philanthropist. So, but I think, well, we did enough library for today. Let's talk to some people tomorrow. And
so that enthusiastic nod from Sal, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Miss, perhaps we talk to them, head up to the sheriff's office, and then to that they might have some more information on whereabouts in Rosada it was, and then head over there tomorrow.
That sounds good. Bran, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
James is realizing that having a badge would be super handy. So
Mhm.
would James he probably wouldn't still have his badge.
I thought that was one of your sources of solace, was your
Oh,
old
was
badge.
it?
I believe so. That's what I have written down here anyway, in which case
Beautiful.
you would certainly have it. Now,
Beautiful. I
obviously,
didn't
if
know.
anybody had a reason to call and check up on you, they would find that you're not active duty, but it is certainly a useful prop.
Okay, great. I'm going to add it to my solace then.
Sure. It's a
Beautiful.
symbol, actually, I think.
Another question, Brian.
Okay.
While they're discussing this, Sal's taking a look around, seeing if we're being watched, see if there's someone pointing cameras at us, or just to try to get the general feel of are we on somebody's radar?
Yeah, no, it really doesn't seem like it. I mean, so far, nothing that you've seen around here twigs you to any sort of unusual interest.
And as we head back in the car, Alice is going to, turn around, look back into the back seat and say, so that's George Ayres is a professor there. Perhaps check because Edgar said that he was the one who brought him into contact with Echevarria. James, perhaps check those photos for faces and see if you recognize him.
Would I know what he looks like?
I don't think you.
Well, you're going to find out tomorrow.
Ah, right. So after.
Yeah. So I'd say perhaps just. Well, I'm not going to offer doing it myself, but perhaps Sal, you can share with Sal, and then, see if you can focus on the faces and other, I don't know, distinctive features that might be seen if people have their clothes on.
I'll take a mental picture and kind of flip through those pictures again and see if I see our friend.
Okay. So this is so back at the hotel, you're gonna sit down and look through. So I am you're taking what I would describe as an uncomfortably close look at these photographs. So I'm gonna say there will be a stability roll. It's only a 1 point, so it's not a big deal. The target number is 5.
5? All right, I won't spend any points, obviously.
Yeah, no reason.
Target 5.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
Alice is a bit curious, but
yeah, so it's a sort of thing where oh, look at you go.
Boom. Maybe I've seen pictures like this before.
Adrian has given you some coping tools. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I mean you've in your line of work, you've seen pictures and situations like this before, but part of it is it's weird. It's like the people who are participating, it almost doesn't look like they're actually enjoying anything that's going on. They just look like they're, I don't want to say going through the motions, but it's
kind of glassy-eyed.
Yeah, it's not the sort of, we're having a fun time here kind of look. All right, so as you look these over, a couple things become apparent. There are a dozen photos in total. Most of them are from inside buildings. Probably a little more than half of them look like they were taken in kind of an upscale, almost like a mansion type of place, very well off. Another couple of them are in a sort of more everyday working class apartment kind of thing. And then 3 of them look like they were taken outside.
The same look, same 3 locations, right? So it's not a series of mansions.
No. It looks, I mean, it's hard to tell because it's like different rooms and things, but it all looks consistent. So your guess would be it's probably the same apartment, the same mansion. And then the last 3 were taken in what looks like kind of a fancy outdoor private garden.
Okay.
Let's see. The participants, let's say, look like they all have some fairly expensive jewelry. Their hair is done up nicely. They look like they're reasonably prosperous people, although without the clothes, it's hard to judge social class accurately. And then looking through and seeing what you've got as far as faces go. A couple of them, you see what you're pretty sure is a younger Edgar Job.
Okay.
and he seems to be more enthusiastic than a lot of the other participants. There is one man,
And that's because
who,
of his face that I can tell.
yeah,
that he's
yeah,
more
that's
enthusiastic.
exactly
Okay.
that's where you're focusing all your attention. Thank you for emphasizing that. There is one man who looks maybe Hispanic of some kind who is in all of the photos.
Interesting. Okay.
And then let's see. Well, would you be interested in getting some more information if you spent a point of streetwise or evidence collection?
I would.
I thought you might.
Let's go to Streetwise. We'll spend it there.
Okay. Yeah, and as you're looking through, there's a face in a couple of the photographs that kind of looks vaguely familiar to you, and you're sort of like, I feel like I've seen him before, but not like as part of this. And you're sort of thinking about it, and then you suddenly have this recognition of that face in like a vampire movie or something. And when you
like
make
an
that connection,
actor.
yeah, there's a guy named Richard Spend who is like a B movie horror actor, you know, kind of the second fiddle in a lot of those cheap horror movies. And you remember hearing that he died like in probably around 1924, and
Mhm.
there were some suspicious or mysterious circumstances around his death. You don't remember the details, but you're 95% sure that's him.
Good. And okay. Good. We may end up having to go to the LAPD,
Okay.
records department, see if we can't find more about that person. But that's great.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so you get through that with a minimum of disruption. So you have, I mean, there's a lot of different people in these photos, so you'd probably have to make another look through them once you find Professor Ayers. But
Yeah.
you know, at least you have you've got some familiarity with the subject now.
And really want to put myself in a position that if I were to come across our Hispanic
Phrasing.
person again, and it I want to burn that face in my brain.
Sure, that seems reasonable. All right. Anybody have anything else to do this evening?
Making sure the box is where it's supposed to be.
Yep. Yeah, the box is right where you left it, still closed. All the contents are there. So then we will sort of pass a gentle and uncomplicated evening and pick up bright and early tomorrow.
I don't know if you can see, but like every time I go to bed, I'm like,
But you're committed and you go to bed around the box, so it's fine.
I do.
It's
I
fine.
do.
All right, so
Heading back up.
back to UCLA.
Yep.
All right, take the jaunt over. It looks much the same as it did yesterday. Who's going where?
Adrian and Alice are going to head over to Professor Page with the ledger.
Okay. Yeah, he looks like one of those guys that is just, you know, always happy to see everybody. You know, he's kind of rumpled, you know, the tie is undone, the jacket's over the back of his chair. And he's like, oh, good morning. You don't look like students. Not to say you couldn't be, but
well, we're actually not. So, but we heard that you were the professor to go to if we have a bit of a mystery.
I like a good mystery. What do you have? Please sit down.
Well, we found this ledger in a deposit box that was, well, it's kind of an inheritance thing. So, well, we were expecting something else in the deposit box. So now we've got this ledger, and I know that.
So a treasure map or something, maybe.
It's kind of a treasure map, and perhaps it's probably gonna. Well, my uncle, he was a bit of a prankster, so it may just all be some wild goose chase, last laugh. But you know, he did have some very well. He was a bit of an eccentric, so we are looking for some missing, well, pieces that were quite expensive. So,
Ah.
well, we did our best with trying to do some code breaking and stuff, but perhaps you might be able to help us.
I'd love to take a look. It sounds fascinating. May I?
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
No. Of course. Of
and
course.
he-
And
he sort of takes the book and flips through and says, "So he went through a lot of effort to put this together. At any rate, I'm not seeing an obvious way to break in right now. Is there any chance you could leave this with me for a day or two?"
and Alice is going to look a bit pained, and then, well, I guess so. I mean, it's we did find, and she'll point out the note that was in there from Henslow. Is we tried to solve it with this cipher, but we couldn't figure it out. So that's but yeah, no, okay. If yeah.
It looks like there's maybe a couple different ciphers going on in here.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, you were saying.
No, just well, it's typical Uncle Lester. He's yeah, that does sound like him. Well, we tried it. I think this is probably way up your alley. If you could give it a crack, we'd be really interested in seeing what you can find. So we're staying at the and then I'll mention the
Roosevelt,
the hotel, and this is our name and this number. So if you do find anything, if you can figure it out, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. Like I say, it's very intriguing and it seems fairly complicated. So this was not just a casual. I promise, if it's a map to a pile of gold or something, I promise not to take it. But I would like a percentage.
Great. And perhaps, I mean, if it's some type of new cipher or something, then hey, of course, you feel free to do with that whatever you want. But well,
I appreciate that.
And we kind of owe it to Uncle Lester to go on this last treasure hunt.
No, absolutely. That sounds this is the most interesting thing that happened to me all month. So
okay.
Yeah, I will definitely let you know if and when I'm able to crack something.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Professor Page, and we'll leave you to it.
All right. Have fun. And like as you're walking out the door, you can see he's got the thing open, has got a sheet of scrap paper. He's clearly fascinated by this.
Okay. So Alice and Adrian are gonna head out, and then
Adrian would probably suggest, since you're at this point, if you can stop by the languages department and see if you can get that tattoo translated.
Yeah. No, that was see if we can head over to the Asian languages and
so all that's going on. James and Sal.
So Sal, I'm thinking we start with the junior member here.
Professor Kitchener.
You other than coming in and saying we're looking into your sex cult, have you seen anything with lots of mouths recently? Do you have any thoughts on how we approach this?
Well, we could just beat it out of them.
Definitely an option. I've got that on the list. Any other thoughts, just to brainstorm?
Not without meeting the guy. Sometimes they're arrogant. They like to spill information. If you talk their language, you know all this stuff. Got to read the audience.
Yeah. Head over there.
Okay.
Remind me, I apologize, the name of the other professor?
So Titchener is the one that was Edgar Jobs' advisor in the math department, and then George Ayers was the guy in the history.
Right, so we're going to go to Titchener.
Okay.
Find his office.
Yep. He's got a small office up on the second floor of the math department. You knock on the open doorway. He's sitting there behind the desk, tall guy, dark hair, kind of skinny, probably late 30s.
Does he look like he may have been photographed recently in something that I've been looking
doesn't look familiar for any of that. And he sort of looks up and says, "Good morning."
Yeah, Mr. Titcher, I need a couple of minutes with you, and I just kind of casually flash my badge and put it back in.
Okay. I didn't do it. That's I'm joking, of course. I don't even know what you. Yeah. Sorry, that was dumb. Sure. What can I help you with, officer?
And I kind of like motion. Can I sit down? Right.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, please.
So, Mr. Titchener, we're in the process of working alongside a Professor Ayers. He's helping us with an investigation on several items. Your name popped up. I want to get an understanding, kind of what is your connection to Professor Ayers? Can you categorize your relationship?
Ayers? Doesn't ring a bell.
Well, he knows you, so I need you to think.
Is he in the math department?
No.
He's here at UCLA?
Yes.
He kind
Just
of
don't ask me too many questions.
I mean, you launched it. Yeah, so he kind of pulls out the desk drawer and pulls out a directory and kind of flips through and says, "History? I don't believe we've ever met."
I want you to think maybe outside of campus, right? You guys potentially, can you think of any clubs or activities the two of you might share? Some interests that maybe extend beyond the school here?
I mean, honestly, if he's someone that knows me, that we've met in some kind of context, either he introduced himself under a different name, or I've never gotten his name. I would love to tell you more, but
And I also have a student that you advised, who's also part of this investigation. Can you
Okay.
let me know kind of how you would categorize this person? And I did not write down names. I'm so bad.
Edgar John.
Thank you.
That does sound familiar. Do you know when he was here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I give him the dates.
Give him the dates. You see. Oh, him. Right. Yeah. He really wanted to be a great mathematician, and he just wasn't. You know,
Okay.
he would pull these all-night work sessions and come up with and show me he had solved some lost problem, or had come up with this great basic this mathematical breakthrough, and then I would look at it and he just had made some fundamental mistakes in doing it. He really wanted to do something amazing, and he wasn't up to it. He desperately wanted to be good, but he wasn't. I mean, he made it through undergrad work and signed up for grad student, but I don't know, maybe a year or so into that, he just vanished.
No idea. Nothing. No indication where he went or any contact after he left the school.
No, I'm guessing maybe he finally realized that he wasn't cut out for this. But no, I haven't heard of him since.
So framing this as he's part of a police investigation, does that make you rethink any of your interactions with him? Is there anything now that within that context that kind of stood out, maybe something I should know about?
Brian, while he's doing that, I'm watching him and trying to assess his responses and whether or not they're truthful or honest.
So he sits there and thinking, and you can kind of see his eyes go up as he tries to remember. You haven't seen any signs so far that suggests he's not being honest with you. He says, I mean, I remember there were a couple times when he came into morning classes looking pretty hungover, but honestly, that's not unusual. Yeah, I can't think of anything particular about it other than his lack of competence. I don't even have any particular memories of him.
Good. Just need you to do me a favor for the next week or two, if you could stay here in the greater LA area, in case we need to reconnect with you. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I'll be here weekdays anyway. What did he do?
Thankfully, I don't think it's going to matter to you, and it's part of an ongoing investigation, which you should take as good news for yourself. But if something else were to pop up, we need to be able to locate where you are.
Go back and say, what did you mean by that?
There's an ongoing investigation. Your name has come up several times in it. This has been a good conversation. I don't get a sense of your involvement at this point, but I would like you to stay in the area in case that were to change.
Now he's nervous. And from Sal Lehan, you don't think it's a guilty kind of nervous. It's just like, what have these people done and put my name associated with? It's like,
It's the kind of nervous that Sal sees when he's about to break someone's knee.
so he says, yeah, I'll certainly, I'll be here. And if I think of anything, can I call you at the police department or?
No, you know what? My friend here is from out of town. Why don't you reach out here? What hotel are you staying at again, Mr. Accardio?
The Roosevelt.
Yeah, why don't you contact him at the Roosevelt? He's going to kind of keep track of things. You can just call the front desk and leave a message for him there.
So not at the police department then.
I'm in and out. It's going to be much easier and much faster if you just reach out to my associate here.
Okay. and what was your name again?
James Burton.
Okay. See, make a few notes. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. No. Thank you.
Sure.
Let's go find Mr. Ayers, Professor Ayers.
Okay. I'm gonna cut back to the other team briefly. So basically, you head over to the East Asian Languages Department. You find someone who speaks Thai. One of the professors is from Siam, and he or Adrian shows him the paper. I think it was a photograph of the tattoo, or maybe she put it down. I don't remember which. Doesn't matter.
Copied it over.
Right. And he sort of looks at it and is like, and this was it. There was no other context, no other words around it.
No, this was pretty much it. Yeah.
It's strange because it means basically swallowed or eaten or consumed, something like that. But there's nothing around it. It doesn't. I mean, this was where did you find this, if I may ask?
It was a tattoo.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could help you more, but that's all it says. I would expect there would be more around it, but
okay. Well, this is more than we knew before. So, yeah. Thanks so much for your time. It's all
No, of course. Please let me know if I can be of any further help.
Well, we know where to be for Thai translations.
So yes,
you're so charming, Alice.
She really is. She's not running people over. All right, and then where are you two headed next?
I'm gonna go to Professor Ayers' office.
Okay. No, I'm sorry, Naomi. Are you guys heading back to meet up? Did you have any other stops?
I think that's pretty much. Would there be anywhere close on campus that would have, I don't know, newspapers or something like archives, that type of thing? Because I think they check, see if look at the car, see that James and Sal aren't there, and just like, well, we might, if we're here, is there somebody we can try and look up, the Raymond Echevarria or something like that?
I mean, there's a general library, but it's not really the kind of thing that has a lot of newspaper stuff. That's more public library.
Then I think then perhaps that just the general library and start reading up on the Reseda area.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, just see what we can find and get a bit of an idea of for when we're headed there.
Okay. Sounds good. So James and Sal head over to the history department. You look at the directory inside the front door. Or actually, you have the office number, and you get up and it's a door that has a little sign next to it that says George Ayers, Professor Ancient Religions. The door is closed. There are no lights on inside at the moment.
Was there somebody at the front desk? If I want to find out if he's teaching right now, I want to.
Yeah, there's certainly like a department secretary.
Yeah, ask them if Professor Ayers is teaching right now, or if they might know where he is.
Oh, actually, I need to correct myself. When you get to the room number you were given, the name on it is actually Dr. Miles Roman. You don't see Ayers' name on the room.
Okay. Let's go back to our friend at the front desk and say, trying to track down two people.
Okay.
First off, this Professor Ayers. Can you tell me where I can find them?
Honestly, you probably have as good a chance of telling me where we can find him. He was on a field trip to somewhere in Africa. I want to say maybe Ethiopia. And he sounded like he was going to be gone for a couple semesters, and it's been years, and he's never come back. I guess he's still out there. We occasionally get or have gotten some telegrams from him regarding the progress of his whatever it is he's researching, but no, he hasn't been on campus for years.
Gotcha. And like, you have a general sense of how long ago was the last telegram?
I would say probably about 4 years ago.
Oh, geez. Okay. All right. Yeah. And was this a something sanctioned by the school? So did the school send him to Africa? Something he did on his own? Took a sabbatical?
I think he was doing some research for some kind of paper or book or something. I mean, I organized the trip. I made his reservations and such, but I don't know specifically what he was looking into.
I would assume there was a sponsor.
I believe it was mostly funded by the university. He was planning to. Your best bet, honestly, would be to talk to Dr. McDunn, who is the head of the history department.
Okay.
He may have a better idea.
And this Professor Romans, I see he's currently in the office of Professor Ayers. Are they connected in any way?
Not really. Dr. Roman's office was basically a cleaned out broom closet. And when Dr. Ayers spent several years away, he finally convinced the department to let him move into there. So, we put all Dr. Ayers stuff into storage, and now Professor Roman is there. He's a classics professor.
Aren't they all? Can can you direct me to where can I find this Mr. McDunn?
Dr. McDunn, she says, with the face of someone who has heard a lot of people say it wrong and heard the results. So she's like, please,
save yourself.
Right, exactly. Well, he's actually in his office back here, but I can see if he's got some time to talk to you. Can I tell him who's calling?
Yeah, flash the badge again and go. It'd be great if he made some time.
Oh, give me
before
give me
you
just...
go. Do you keep a copy of the telegram when
they should be in the file, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. Right, so she heads off down the hall and says he can give you a few minutes now if that works for
Perfect.
You, officer.
Yeah, I appreciate your help, and if you can help my friend here with getting a peek at those telegrams.
Sure. Okay, I can do that. So she walks you down the hall, James, to Dr. McDunn's office. He's clearly, the senior guy here. He's got the big office and the big desk with various diplomas and awards and things on the wall. Big guy, red-haired, looks, pure UK. And he says, good morning, officer. What can I assist you with?
Dr. McDunn. Now, just real quick, is his face and it all familiar to me?
No.
You're going to hear that question.
I will. Yes, I will endeavor to remind you when you see someone that you think might be it.
I spent a lot of time looking at those faces.
Yes, way too much time. Just the faces.
Dr. McDunn, we're looking into the disappearance of one of your professors, and it's my understanding that you sent him off on an expedition to Africa, that it's been 4 years now since you've heard back. Want to get any type of background on, whose idea was this? What details on this expedition? Is funding continued? Have you sent more money to Ethiopia? Can you kind of bring me up to speed?
Sure. Yeah, Dr. Professor Ayers basically took leave. He had an expedition he wanted to go into Ethiopia to some ancient site. I'd have to look and see where exactly he was going. He was expecting it to be a year, perhaps a bit more, but he was sending back regular reports for a while, and I honestly have got enough on my plate. I didn't really think about it, but I have not heard from him in quite a while. So I suspect he may have fallen afoul of the territory or gone native, which more or less amounts to the same thing. But to be honest with you, until we find out something definitive, I'm planning to keep him on the department rolls because it keeps our budget up, and grad students can handle the classes anyway.
Yeah, and that's fine. Did he take anybody here, any other faculty or students or anything that went with him? Do you know of?
No, he had he hired most of the people he's going to be working with locally when he got over there.
Anybody else here on campus that might be familiar with what he was looking for or any details around this expedition?
I could say, my secretary would have a good idea. She made the itinerary for him. She's probably still got the files on him. But as far as I recall, he was just doing some excavations on this site. He seemed to think there was something of historical significance going on there. Let's see, Samantha, would you bring along the Professor Ayers' file so we can have a look at that? And she says, I've got it out here. I'm talking to this other officer.
I want to see Sal's face when he's called an officer. And I do, and pure Columbo style. I go, oh, what? One more thing. A student here, Edgar Jobs. Does that name ring a bell to you at all?
No, can't say that it does.
No.
Was he in the history department?
No, he wasn't. He was in the mathematics department. If over dinner tonight you get a thought and a recollection of that student, you'd let me know. Or if you can think of anything else that could be of interesting to us related to Professor Ayers, we'll swing by tomorrow just to see if anything's jogged your memory.
Very good. I can do that. And he jots down the name, and it's on a pile of papers that is probably this high. So surely he won't forget about it.
As usual, the only person who's going to be of use is the administrative assistant. The person who the other person is
almost certainly. Always.
Yep.
There's a piece of paper here that says Edgar Job. I have no idea what this means.
Yep. So I'll see what kind of progress you've made, Sal.
All right. So Sal, she pulls out a file. It's basically like a folder within a folder for this trip specifically. It looks like he set off shortly after the school year finished in 1924, so like June. The itinerary, do I have a handout for the itinerary? That would be great. I don't believe I do, but loading, please wait. I did not expect you guys to take this particular route through the chapter, so I don't have everything quite on hand where I thought it would be. There we are. Yes, let me get this loaded up real quick and share it with you.
Pro tip for those watching GMs: they never do it in the order you think they're going to do it.
I know, and there are a lot of paths through Los Angeles in this case. So create that and page. Let's do it this way. You let me do this as a PDF, or do I have to screenshot it? Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, we don't need to see it right now. If you can just give us the details.
Yeah. I'll get it uploaded. That's a good point.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's basically just through looks like a travel agent. It looks like it was scheduled for June 2nd, 24 to July 19th. So that was just the trip out.
Mhm.
And basically, it is going from actually most of the travel stuff that's in here is from London. So there's like some stuff from LA to London, and then basically made a trip through. It looks like it went to India at some point, and then circled around to Marseille, and then back to Cairo, and then eventually wound up at a place called Massawa, Massaua, in Ethiopia.
And do we have
Wait,
any other
no.
names? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I just realized that was there. No, that there was not that much travel. This was more direct. Sorry. This was L.A. Through New Jersey to London, Paris, Rome, Athens, Cairo, and then a couple spots in Egypt, and did end in Massawa in Ethiopia. So I
Got
got
it.
that part right.
And do we have anybody else that flew from the greater LA area to Jersey that accompanied him?
It looks like there are not any other folks on the name here that were accompanying him. The only other name you see referenced is there was he apparently had a local guide by the name of Bartolo Acuna, Acuna. But that's the only reference name. It looks like it was a single person trip up until he got to Ethiopia.
And Sal, did you have any luck?
Oh, and the telegrams?
Yes.
Yeah, you see a couple telegrams over the first probably year or so after he was there, and it's mostly just things like arrived safely, on way to site. Local staff are difficult to work with, but we're making progress. Kind of extent. And then there was something roughly a year after he arrived. There was a telegram that said something like, there is an estate auction at such and such auction house, which I will tell you in a second. And, please purchase these particular books. And those books are, do we have that telegram? Hopefully behind the curve. Here we are. And of course, I'll put this one in the document as well.
Mhm.
But it's basically saying volumes of great, it's addressed to Professor McDunn, volumes of great interest in Echevarria auction. Obtain lot 18, Cults of Axumite, Rift of Maw, primary importance. Heirs.
So he's directing McDunn to purchase these.
Get these books.
Any chance I can catch McDunn to see if he recalls this instruction and whether that was taken care? Actually, why am I even talking to McDunn? I'm going to ask the assistant. Do we know if we executed this? If McDunn asked you or someone else to pick up this lot?
Yes, she will tell you that we did make that purchase. And as far as I know, they're in the department library.
Perfect. And if we go to the department library, who do you think would get us to that lot, a lot of books the fastest?
If you have the names, any of the librarians should be able to find it.
Wonderful.
Okay.
You got anything, Sal?
All right then. So it sounds like we're probably going to meet back up at this point. Dump some data on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And where to next?
I'm not going to Ethiopia, so don't ask.
Oh man, that's gonna be a longer drive.
Well, I've had we can do the library tomorrow for those books. So, it's probably a bit of a drive up to Reseda, but shall we head up to Reseda, the sheriff's office? Look at what we can find out about that fire and about the site.
Yeah, and then I figure your cryptologist, mathematical guy there, maybe he'll make some progress by tomorrow. I can check with Dr. McDunn, see if he's got any new memories, and then we can also check on these purchased books. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, so do we drop by the sheriff's department on the way up? we're heading to Reseda. We only know that there was a fire there, and
Yeah.
if we're just gonna drive around randomly in Reseda for a fire that was 10 years ago, we probably won't see it.
No,
Although
I
if we find a local busybody, they might remember. But
yeah. Let's start with the sheriff's department. I think if anybody's going to have records of that. Hey, does anybody notice Dr. Fisher drinking that poison? Should she be doing that?
The dose makes the point. Fine.
No. No. I agree. I think that that I would be game for heading up there.
All right. Sounds good. Do you guys make your way up to Reseda? And it's like, it's really interesting. There's like a cutoff on the other side of what they call the Santa Monica Mountains. And it goes from very urban to increasingly rural and farmlandy. You know, there's big orange groves and avocado, plantations and that sort of thing. But you are, it's probably about a 45-minute drive. So it's maybe 1 o'clock or so by the time you get there. It's easy enough to find the local sheriff's department. It's one of many. It's a branch station. They have a couple jail cells and a few officers here. There's maybe half a dozen patrol cars, or spaces for them anyway. Most of them are out on the road somewhere.
So James, are you best to? Would you be asking this, or shall I ask this about saying that I'm looking for information on my Uncle Lester?
Yeah, Alice.
What's best?
A lot of these yokels tend not to want to deal with city folk, which I'll be identified immediately as a city cop. So I think you'll have a lot more success. I think Sal and I should be there, so you're not unaccompanied. But I think you have a much better chance of getting information than we would.
Okay, well, this this type of thing, so I'll let me do the talking. See if they can help me find my Uncle Lester.
All right. So you head on in.
Yep.
Before you see Sal like have to steel himself.
Yeah, and I kind of undo my tie, looking a little bit less stiff-backed and a little less official.
Sounds good. So you
Sal
go
does
in.
not do his.
Okay, that's fair. This looks pretty much like any smaller police station that any of you have been. There's like a sort of like a bank teller cage section up front where the secretary or dispatcher or whatever sits. There are various people here who are apparently waiting to be questioned or waiting to get some property back. The patrolmen coming in and out. It looks busy, but not unusually so. And so I'm guessing you probably head up to the secretary.
I'll head up to the front desk and say, so sorry to bother you. I've got a bit of a strange question, but there was a fire here 10 years ago, 15 August.
As soon as you say 10 years ago, there's just the tiniest little eye roll that they're clearly trying to contain.
Yeah. So, and I know it's a long time ago, but I'm trying to find some more information on it, because I think that, well, I think my Uncle Lester might have been in that fire.
Well, I mean, we could take a look. Do you know when?
Let me just 15 August 1924.
Okay. He scrambled to talk about. And what was your uncle's name?
Lester. Lester, and she'll look at the blackboard. And Lester Board.
Is that
yeah? It's a bit of a long story.
That's fine. Any other names that might be associated with it?
Perhaps and she'll think about it. Raymond Echevarria.
Okay, scroll. I mean, I can have somebody take a look. It may be a while. That's we'd have to dig out some of the old archives. And
I understand.
And James in particular, gets the sense that it's probably not going to be complicated, but they are not interested in doing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing.
Oh well, I'd be, really grateful. It's a bit of a, as I said, it's a bit of a long story, but and then I think Alice is going to try and concoct some kind of long story about her uncle Lester, who left, was notoriously eccentric, liked to send his relatives on long goose chases, and then we hadn't heard of him for for so long, and then suddenly we got this safety deposit box with kind
And
of
you
a
you
puzzle.
get about 30 seconds into this conversation, and then he's just like, ma'am, I will see if we have any records matching this description.
Oh, that would be wonderful. So, I mean, thank you.
Sure. And he basically, takes the notes on which he's written down and puts it down next to him, and just sort of, feel free to have a seat if you want, or we can contact you when you're done. And is clearly looking to like signal the next person behind you.
I'll wait here. I'll wait right here. So, thank you.
And James has kept a listen to all of this, and
Sure.
before Alice steps away, I go, cousin, don't you think that maybe you'd want to go pay our respects, friend? We don't actually know where the fire occurred. Do you have an address so we can pay our respects?
I mean, if we have a file on it, it would be in there.
Oh God.
Well,
punch faces.
then I think then Alice is going to say, well, do you think it's going to take a lot of time to do this?
Honestly, it depends on who's available. So James, I think, has been in enough police stations that, I think either maybe utilizing cop talk, which would probably require you, either showing the badge, talking about it, or maybe if somebody has bureaucracy to try and grease the wheels a little bit.
Alice has bureaucracy.
Okay. So yeah, you can. Okay, I see a couple possible ways you can approach this. It might be the sort of thing where you kind of insist on telling more of the story, and it just goes to get it to make you go away.
Exactly.
The Los Angeles police are historically pretty corrupt, so you might be able to swing a bribe, but doing that in a police station is probably a little risky.
No, I think Alice would, she's going to be in the most friendly manner, extremely annoying. And she knows that in certain bureaucracy, she's been in the army, is that she knows is that you want them to want to help you,
right?
You want them to want to get rid of you. So she's going to every now and then, like how are things going, and she's being so friendly and so understanding. And
you see Sal want to get out.
Yeah, so I would say after probably half an hour or so of this, the person you've been talking to kind of does a heavy sigh and stops another, probably a junior patrolman or someone going by and says, "Can you check the file room for this?" And he looks at the paper and shrugs and goes back. And then about 10 minutes later, he comes out with a file and plops it on the secretary's desk, and he says, "Miss, we've got it looks like we did have a match on that file. You certainly can't take it here, but if you'd like, we can have a room if you want to take a look at it."
Oh, that would be wonderful. I mean, we'll just have a quick look, and then we'll be out of your hair, and it's like we were never here.
Sure, he says. So yeah, he basically brings you over to a little, it's probably an interview room, it's got a little table and a couple chairs. He puts the file there, and yeah, I think he just leaves you with it. I think it's the sort of thing where he probably should be there to make sure nothing happens to it, but he cannot bring himself to do it. So yeah, it is a fairly thick file.
Okay.
The sort of the most important thing is probably just the main police report from the original incident, which I am sharing with you now. Um, and there's a lot of stuff under it, which I'll talk about once you've had a chance to look under this.
Mhm.
And note that there are 2 pages to that handout.
So, should we kind of read this out or summarize it? What works
That's
best?
I've got
probably
it
a
up
good
on the
idea.
screen for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the big thing for people to note that are watching is the conclusion appears to have been a meeting of some kind of sex club, possibly heroin users. Violence may have come from rival gang of some kind or simply a result of drug-crazed chaos. No leads on potential survivors. I think the other thing that's significant is it's not listed as an accident. It is listed as multiple homicides.
And they do have identified bodies, a Clark Catherine. So this is probably the Catherine that they mentioned. ID found on body, decapitated, head never found. Oh my God. Raymond Echevarria, identified by Diego Diaz, household servant. Yep, he's the cult. He was the cult leader, wasn't he? And Francis Coleman, Richard Spend. Oh, he's that actor guy that you heard
Yep.
about, right? And a Vincent Stack, including a New Jersey state PI license. Okay, and then we have 7 unidentified women and 6 unidentified men. Okay, let's see.
I've got
Where is this?
feeling that I've seen a lot of those people.
Certainly possible. There aren't well, honestly, there would probably be a few crime scene photos,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
most of the bodies are not in a state to be recognizable.
Yeah, or they've
Yeah,
been covered. Yeah.
sure. And it was its location was Reseda Agricultural District, Lot 12, and it was reported by the neighbors. I wonder if the neighbors are still there and remember anything. So, yeah, this is helpful.
And then underneath that, there is what looks like a lot of correspondence going back and forth between the sheriff's department and the actual LAPD. And reading between the lines, because again, James is very familiar with the way police station works. It looks like there was a lot of this is your department, not our department. There's a lot of arguing over who had to deal with it. And it sounds like it was a big mess, but no one important enough or with vocal enough next of kin was kind of pushing for it to be closed. So they just kind of let it go and wrote it off as an unsolved, death by misadventure.
Okay. And the investigating officer is a Trent Huggins. Maybe worth talking to, but perhaps we check out the site and the neighbors first.
Love it.
Yeah, you can easily make your way, find the address. It's in, again, sort of a farmland area. So yeah, you pack up, give
copy
the file
everything
back
quickly on a note. So and then we'll hand everything back, and then I'll just when I give it back to the front desk person, I'll say,
I hope you
"Thanks."
got everything you needed.
I think we did get I just have one small question. Does Detective Trent Huggins, does he still work here?
Yeah, he's a detective inspector now, but
Okay. So, well, I think we've already taken up too much of your time, but perhaps we'll come back and talk to him. But thanks so much.
That would be great.
Yeah.
He takes the file back
Yeah.
and watches you leave with a weird sense of pleasure. All right, so up to the site of the incident then. It's maybe 10-minute drive. It's not that far from here. And basically it looks like, when you get there, it's pretty overgrown. You know, the grass is tall and that sort of thing. There are sort of the burned foundations of two buildings. Looks like a house and a barn. That suggest that they burned down maybe a decade or so ago, which all seems to fit. It also looks like there has been some relatively recent excavation going on here. Like, not like somebody with a shovel digging, but like some construction work, maybe.
Where exactly relative to the burned buildings?
I mean, it's just kind of, it looks like they're in the process of trying to dig out, like get rid of the foundation stuff and sort of smooth the place. You would guess maybe somebody was looking to build something else on this land.
Got it.
So yeah, I think you would probably notice on the way there that like a block or two before you get to the address, there's coming soon Woodland Hills, affordable housing from the $30,000 kind of thing, and you can actually see like a little bit farther away from the barn itself that does look like there's a construction crew in the process of clearing land.
Brian, the Diego Diaz name, is that the first time we've come across that name?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to get out and look around? What's the plan?
Neighbors, right?
Yeah, I think I could, after 10 years, what would there be left on the loft? The neighbors are still, they're the ones who reported it. They will have remembered the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody living close?
Sal says he's happy to look at the site just in case.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there was all right, so talking to the neighbors, none of them are especially close because this is, farmland, so it's pretty big lots. But yeah, you catch a couple of people at home, and they'll sort of tell you that they basically starting back in about 22 or so, nobody was really using this land for anything, and we made a couple calls to see if we could maybe buy or lease the land since they weren't using us, but we never never heard back. And then back in, I want to say 24, there was a big mess, police cars and fire and shotguns and all kind of city folk showing up and being there dead. I can't say what the cause was of it, but it was kind of a mess. I think maybe they just went into that land because there was nobody living there or working it. But I don't know. We've talked about trying to get a hold of the land to expand our lot, but now with this new development coming in and all sort of city folk moving out here, I don't know how long we're going to stay.
Anything, Sal, that you have found?
So Sal is kind of, looking around the situation. Again, it looks very, very consistent with everything you heard. It doesn't look like, there's any tracks or signs or anything like that are, of course, long since gone. Looking at the construction, it looks like, maybe a month or two ago by your guess. But it looks like this is probably part of the land that is planned to be part of whatever development they're building here. And as you're, as you're kind of making your way through, probably looking around the barn, seeing if there's any traces of whatever may happened. I mean, you probably come across a shell casing or two that the police missed. Or something like that, but obviously it's way too old for there to be any visible bloodstains or anything like that. I would say you probably no, never mind. That wouldn't remain either. Yeah, so it looks like there's really no trace of anything that might have happened at this point. The one thing that's odd is, as you're kind of finishing up your search there, you look over at the house building. It's the same thing. It's pretty much an unrecognizable wreck. And as you're kind of making your way back through the tall grass back towards the car, you hear just all of a sudden like a, and you feel something sharp sink into your leg.
Oh,
And you look down, and there is some kind of what looks like maybe a feral cat of some kind that is just kind of latched onto your leg and is trying to bite through your pants as it is clamped onto your leg. It's not really doing any damage. It's not like it's that kind of thing, but it's apparently very insistent on trying to hurt you.
well, Sal's going to go ahead and hunt that buddy.
Okay.
Kicking bam.
Okay. I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think you got this.
Sal's not a cat person.
Yeah. Certainly not now.
Wait, do you have any points in feline football?
Yeah. So, when you two are coming back and probably, making your way back to the car, you just suddenly hear this. See something small and furry go up, about 10 feet in the air and land down, and then it just kind of scurries off into the weeds.
So when we reconvene, I want to take note of like the company that's in charge of this development. I would assume that somebody's attributed to this on the sign.
Yeah, it's like from Warren Real Estate is the name that's on the sign.
Obviously, Sal shares what he found. We share what we found. We know what we're going to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a name of this Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to figure out who this is and where we can find more about this person.
Yeah, in the police report, it says they were a household servant of Echevarria's.
We've got multiple names to look into.
Yeah.
So we still need to find where that Raymond Echevarria. We might check the property records for this.
Be good to know who owned this land.
It was in 24, if it was his.
Yep.
Question, we've got the police report. Do we want to talk to the detective? I'm wondering. While we're here?
Yeah. While we're here.
Okay.
While we're here, and yeah.
All right, so making your way back to the sheriff's department then? All right. One thing I would like you to do as you're leaving is I would like anyone who is interested in doing so to make me a sense trouble check.
Oh, fantastic.
And I will tell you what your target number is in just a moment. Really interesting.
Sal's already failed his check.
Well, these things happen. There you go. Your target number is going to be 5.
Okay, I will spend a point.
Well, that seemed to work out well.
I didn't spend any. So.
Yeah, Sal's going to spend 2.
I thought you had already rolled, so.
There we go, Sal.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you guys are back in the car and heading out. And, Sal has been kind of consistently keeping an eye in the mirrors and just watching for anything unusual. And as you're making your way back the way you came, you can see that there was a car sort of pulled over by the side of the road by where that real estate sign was. And just as you guys are like getting to the edge of being able to see it, you see it turn around and pull out and start following you. And I think that's probably a good place for us to call it for today.
Okay. Great. We'll cut to credits. We'll be right back for after credits.
All righty. association with Brian John.
We are back. Post credits, Brian.
Yes. So this was obviously a little bit of a legwork session. So you've got a lot of names and a lot of directions to go in. So that's going to give you a lot of options. And of course, the traditional Raymond Chandler. If things start to drag a little bit, not that I'm saying they were, but you have somebody come through the door with a gun. I'm not saying the person in the car behind you has a gun, but it's just it's something to be aware of. So yeah, let us talk about some stars and wishes. Naomi, why don't you kick us off?
I think I really enjoyed the different pace of this, and you really get a feeling of being on an investigation. And I think I loved the moment that we went down to Long Beach, headed up to downtown, had to go back to Long Beach. So you get a bit of the feeling of the slog, but in a fun way. So
that's what I was trying to do, because that could very easily be tedious and non-fun, but hopefully
I really enjoyed that. And I'd say
it also gives us a sense of the size of LA too, which I think could matter a lot, right? No, I thought that was clever.
And wishes, I think it would. Well, I think we ended on an interesting note with being followed, and I'm very interested to find out. We're kicking a number of hornets' nests, I think, or it's shaking the tree, and I get the feeling that some people are going to wake up or come after us. So it's going to probably get interesting. So yeah,
that is the objective, to keep it interesting. Yeah. All right, Craig, what about you?
I just have fun playing with you all, and Naomi's right. I think the pace of this was perfect, and I think because it was slower, right? And that needs to be a part of this, especially when you're dealing with a long campaign like this. It's not a one shot. But I felt like we never felt like there wasn't a breadcrumb in front of us, Brian. So you're doing a good job of that. And that leads really to, I think my star is the gumshoe system. I love that this stuff is not hiding behind roles. You're doing it, you want, when you're GMing a gumshoe, you don't want it to feel easy, but you don't want it to feel impeded either. And you want to reward, in this case, really the players more than the characters, for looking here and thinking of that. And I felt that the whole time. So I never felt stalled. I felt like we were being rewarded for the points we spent in character creation. So I thought all of that was good. Wishes is, we're at the phase where I feel like the spider web is spreading, which is a really neat phase. What's fun, and we already got a little hint of it, is when it starts reconnecting again, right? When we start seeing a name we heard about before show up later, and that's already starting to happen, and that's the best part of investigative horror.
Excellent. Yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah, Gumshoe was basically, and I know you know this, Craig, it's basically built to say that, there should never be a situation in which you fail to find the clue. Right. It's like, you find the clue, the interesting part is deciding what it means and how to proceed from there. Chris, what do you got for us?
For stars, I mean, just the role play that my fellow players bring to the table. With Craig and the whole cop talk thing, I'm like, that's exactly. And then especially when Alice was doing the thing to the poor desk sergeant. I can feel that pain. So just hats off to them. They are fantastic. Wishes, I don't know. I think Sal needs some hydrogen peroxide for his feline bite.
It's probably not rabid.
Yeah, maybe. As far as wishes go, I don't really have anything. I mean, I can feel the tension begin to rise. And like you said, the whole spider web, you start seeing names and they connect the names and names. I like that a lot. I definitely want to see more of that.
Excellent. Well, there is no shortage of that in this campaign, so I'm glad you're enjoying it.
One quick question for you, Brian. I know this is you're using kind of Justin Alexander's remix of this and thoughts on this. Is there any place you can talk about that we've seen so far where we can see Justin's fingerprints, or is that something for us to talk about much later without
Most
giving
of
anything
what
away?
has happened so far is pretty much as written.
Got it.
There are a couple things that he has added in LA, which you will probably be seeing shortly, and I'll be glad to talk more about those then. For anybody who doesn't know that's watching this, Justin Alexander is at thealexandrian.com. He's a great GM, and I mean, calling him like a role-playing theorist, I think is it's not the best description of what he is, but he does some great stuff. And he has taken this and a number of other long-term campaigns, and basically after he's run them a couple times, it's like, here are things I added in, here's the way I think things would move smoother. So he's got a really good idea. Also, if anybody is interested in running this for their own group, or just want to glance ahead to see what's going on, the folks at Pelgrane have been kind enough to give us a discount code through, I want to say, the end of the year. So it is a discount on both Eternalize itself, either in print or the PDF version, and also for the soundtrack, because this campaign does come with its own soundtrack, which you've been hearing in like the intro and break stuff here. And that code is where did we go? Yeah, it's Eternal Stream 10, so it's going to be 10% off those purchases at the Pelgrane store. So if anybody wants to get this and doesn't mind being spoiled, or wants to get it for reading later, Pelgrane was nice enough to do that. My stars and wishes, real quick. I mean, I enjoy everybody's role playing and activity. I think my favorite had to be Naomi's oppressively nice visit to the sheriff's office. I think that was beautifully done. And for my wish, normally this is where I say, well, I wish we could play again sooner, but we've actually got a couple good ones scheduled coming up in the near future. So I will at this point wish that Mac gets a more reliable internet connection. I mean, I know she was doing her best to work through it, and did what she could, but it's never fun to have to go through that.
No, and it's funny because like it's amazing after you've getting a couple sessions in with a group that's starting to tighten up. Like I missed her, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can definitely feel that. All right, wonderful. We'll be back on the 11th of
Yay.
November.
2 weeks.
Same bat channel. So we'll see you then.
Thanks, everybody.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.